So a very early start this morning, but you catch up with us a couple of hours down the road, and today we are fishing one of the biggest, if not the biggest lake in the UK, targeting some predators, hopefully some zander and maybe a few perch. And it's something I like to do once or twice a year because it's a little bit different from anything around where we live, and it's really good sport. And today we're joined by Phil Spinks, who's not only an incredibly good predator angler, he's also pretty damn hand at driving a boat and has got a decent fish finder. So hopefully we can get on the fish nice and early. But I'm sure you've all seen many music montages of getting on boats, loading and getting out to your spot. So with the power of editing, we can skip all that and you find us straight out on the first drop of the session. So I'm going to get that underway now. Phil has found a few fish, and believe it or not, we're fishing currently in about 70 foot of water. So I'm going to let this sink to the bottom, and basically the hardest thing is, in such a huge expanse of water, is finding the fish. So you do have to do quite a bit of experimenting, quite a few drops, but when you find them, the action can be pretty good. So we're going to fish away now while we're here showing a few bait fish and a couple of predators, and hope the early drops bring us a little bit of action. So straight to the bottom and then just slightly tweak up, and then just feel it bounce on the bottom. You just slowly working that jig, see if one grabs hold of it. Yeah, I got one. Well, the first bite of the day is always the one that you need, because it gives you the confidence you've got the right colours and you're doing it right. And we did have to move a couple of times, but on the first drop down on this drift, something's grabbed hold of it, and we're fishing pretty deep. It's about 85 foot in places. So one really important thing I want to say straight away is reel them up really slowly. This swim bladders and stuff like that in the depth change can be a bit of an issue if you just crank and wind them. So I'm literally coaching it up nice and slowly, and hopefully we're going to have a fish to show you. I'm going to guess it's going to be a little zander. Really nice first one. Well done, mate. Well, there we go. And to prove that your luck's in at the start of the day, the hook has come out in the net. They supply all the nets here. I think for the reason of the killer shrimp and whatnot, it's safer to use their net. But there, oh yeah, lively one, is our first zander of the day. And there he is, angry little fella, but they're wicked fish. You can see why people target them. They're like a cross between a perch and a pike if you ever caught them. You know, they've got that spiky dorsal fin and then those vampire teeth in there. They really are cool little fish, and a day chasing those is pretty enjoyable. But I'm going to get this one back, and you do need to put them back in a slightly bizarre way. So I'll get him back and then I'll explain why. It worked perfectly. Yeah, probably looks a bit of a, you know, not a nice way of putting back, but you do have to kind of torpedo. I'm not talking throw them into the water as hard as you can, but just a head start and sort of scare him into bolting back down. Like I said, reeling them up from that depth is so important to get them back down there quite quickly, and a little bit of a torpedo in there just gets them to shock themselves a little bit, and bang, they go straight down. If you saw that one, he went back absolutely fine. So
mate,
fish number one,
fish, put it there.
Took probably 20 minutes, but we now know where we caught that one from, so we're going to reel back up, back round and do that same drift again. Right, that is a wicked start, and we said at the start, or I said at the start, how important it is to get yourself a good fish finder. Now luckily Phil has got one, but it's sure a lot of fish in this area. Obviously you can probably see just over my shoulder there's a tower. Well, I mean, always really good fish holding areas, but the fish finder was the main key in showing a ball of bait fish with a few predators around it. So what we've done, as soon as I got that bite, Phil's whacked the waypoint onto the fish finder, which means obviously as we were talking to you, we've drifted off it. So you come back round on the motor, drop down again, and then you're going to drift straight back over where we were then fishing. As you can see, since I've been talking to you, this lure is still sinking to the bottom. So that's how deep it is. And again, why it is so important that when you do get those bites, not to just get really excited and reel them up really quick, because it is so easy to do. And then the way we're working the lures is just, to be fair, I've always found you don't need to do too much. And actually throughout the day we'll probably have what we call a dead stick rod, which is where you just lay one over the side and just the movement of the boat is enough to make them grab them. But the one you're working, just like I am now, is feel it to the bottom, and then I lift it up maybe 1 or 2 feet maybe, and then just slowly let it bounce on the bottom again, and just keep repeating that process. And all you're doing is making that sort of action of the lure hitting the bottom, waving up, and you tend to find that just before it hits the bottom is when they grab it again. So I think probably in a couple of minutes time we'll be back over where we hooked that one, and we'll see if any of his buddies are there. Oh, he is tiny. It's a fish rope. So, a couple of drifts with a few little rattles. There's definitely fish there and still showing the fish finder, but the wind has picked up quite a bit. This is a huge bit of water, so any sort of wind, you sort of feel like you're on the ocean a bit. So we're just going to throw a drogue out, which basically is just going to slow us down and hopefully get the boat a little bit more stable, and then gives you longer over the kill zone. So every time you drift through, put the drogue out, it sorts itself out. Basically, like a big plastic bag just opens and just gives you a bit of resistance to pull against. So once that's all tightened up, we'll lower the lures back down, and hopefully go a little bit slower. We may stay in that kill zone a touch longer. Right, drogue is all out there nicely, slowing us down. Again, they supply everything, so same as the nets, the drogues are supplied on each boat. And you may notice I'm pretty much just lowering it off the end of the boat. Now, basically vertical jigging, because you're moving along with the wind, you are going to get natural movement along. So if it was dead flat calm, which you'd be lucky to on a water this big, you'd need to cast it and work your lures to move and find different depths and different areas. But with a natural drift, you literally lower it off the rod, and like I said, we're fishing 80 foot deep. The boat over means absolutely nothing, but the fact that you're moving yourselves means that you just literally have to sit there and tap it along the bottom, and as the boat moves, you're moving it over that area of water as you drift along. So, you know, the sort of drift that we've got, we've seen fish on the fish finder and had a few rattles, is probably about, I don't know, 200 meters probably, and we were sort of drifting that quite fast as the wind picked up. But now we've got this drogue out there, it's probably going to slow us down, and we'll have twice if not 3 times as long fishing down that drift. So let's hope it works. I'm going to concentrate now, bounce this along the bottom, see if one grabs hold of it.
Comfy?
Really comfy. Hungry work this lure fishing, and a bit. This is an edge, by the way. Fajita pasta bait. If you've never had that, get on it. But joking aside, though, if you are going to have a break, leave the rods out, because we always have a sleeper rod anyway. But you quite often find that that's the one that go, because you don't just put that much movement into them, and the waves that you're getting across the water, you can see the movement it's putting in those tips. They're more than happy fishing away like that. So, you know, have a nice chill out, bit of food. I hope one of those is a bit of a bigger bend in it than it currently has.
Yay! Nice.
Doesn't catch the drogue on the other side of the boat, but that was a bite out of the blue on the dead stick rod. Little fella, I skillfully managed to go through my other braid.
Nice, that's lifted spirits a bit.
This one cost £50, 51 pound, didn't it, or something?
Still time to get some more, mate.
Yeah, try and get one a little bit bigger perhaps.
Well, if I was going to describe lure fishing in a nutshell, we probably what I've experienced over the last few hours. I've had huge periods of inactivity, even though fish are showing on the fish finder, and you just sort of plugging away, and you feel a million miles away from everything. And then Phil just had a bite, and he's had his hand, and instantly you feel back in it, regenerated, and you're trying harder again. And I think sometimes they just don't want to feed, but I'll talk you through a couple of the lures we're using. So these little spiky shads is what personally my favourite is. That's what I had my bite on this morning. And then the other type is the little Zander Pro shads as well. So I mean, they're my two favourite that I use those on a 20 gram jig head, pretty much just because of how deep it is. I do carry some 30 grams with me if I need them as well, and basically a few other colours, but in those variations of lure pattern. When we've done well on here before, it's been one of those, and normally sort of a bright green colour is quite good, or sometimes, believe it or not, for some reason or other, like a motor oil or something like that, a quite dark colour can also work. But it is the same as everything, you have to try. And like I said, it does give a bit of light when you get a bite, because you do feel like you are plugging away for absolutely nothing. And bear in mind, we had that first fish after like 20 minutes. You think you're in for a really good day. We've been around other spots and not had anything or seen anything on the fish finder. So coming back here, and like I said, Phil's had that one 5 minutes ago. We've got about an hour left, and spirits are back up high again. So I'm going to fish hard now and see if this light drops, if we can get a little flurry of feeding fish to finish with.
Whee! That's a tiny little bite.
Just got a lot heavier all of a sudden. What was a perch to start with?
Fish on.
That shows, doesn't it, the importance of patience and switching back.
And eating your pasta.
And eat my yeah, true. And switching back to the original lure that I first caught on. So I've gone through literally probably 5 or 6 different colours and patterns back onto this one. But I don't think it's that, to be fair. You know, Phil had his fish, and like I said, you just get that regeneration, and perhaps you fish a little bit better and you try a little bit harder. But I definitely think, you know, we're getting towards the end of the session, and as the light fades a little bit, obviously, as all fish do, they come on the feed slightly better. But this one feels okay, and I think it's coming up. So Phil, I might get you so you can get the net for me. Try not to hook my other rod. Yeah, it's not bad. There you go. Nice. Cheers, Phil. Well, he wanted that big time. You've got the main hook in there, and also the little stingers. So if it proves anything, is they're feeding a lot more aggressive now or later in the day. But there you go, same little as last time. We've got the main hook and then a little stinger. He's twisted up on the way up, but that is what has done the damage. So let's get it out of the way and have a look at them. They are literally peas in a pod. I think all three of them that we've seen to the boat today have been pretty much identical in size. I know I said it earlier, but I do think they are wicked fish, just sort of prehistoric. I just wish, certainly today, it didn't quite make us work so hard for them. But I guess, you know, when you do get them, the rewards feel that little bit better. But I'm gonna get this one thrown back, and then we've probably got time for one or two more drifts over the spot to see if we can snag one more. Right, buddy, here you go. Straight back down, that's how it should work.
We had to wait a little while. Number two.
Oh, working hard, but good fun. I do still enjoy it. Like I said, it does get sometimes demoralising. Don't give up, keep going, because literally any second it can happen, and it just brightens everything back up again.
Mr. Phil, have we got time for one more drift?
Of course we've got one more. There's always one more cast.
One more cast. Let's go.
Well, beaten by time, you have to be back in by 4, so we're going to have to call it there. And it's always the way, just as things start getting good, you have to head off and get back in. But you know, that's the same I said before, as all fishing tends to. As it gets towards the end of the evening, light levels start to fade, then generally it's the time when fish feed the best. But never mind, a good day, a hard day, but you know, one at the start. Phil had a little perch, and then he had his zander, and then we finished off with my last zander as well. So in amongst all that as well, we've had a few mistakes and a couple drop off, so there's been enough to keep you interested, and just wish that you could get one more, or maybe something a bit bigger and special to end on. But like I said, really enjoyable, and if you've not been out and done this big reservoir fishing, hopefully it's give you a little guidance into how to do it, what to take, what to expect, and it certainly can be one of the most rewarding styles of doing it when they grab hold of that lure. So that's it from us. We're going to head off back in. As always, I really do hope you've enjoyed it. It's a huge help for us. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you again on the next one.